Hello, my curious learners. I hope you all are doing well. I welcome you once again on English with Chahar sir. And as I promised you for the textual study of the sonnet went to the sessions. Sonnet number 30 by William Shakespeare. So I am here with you with a detailed explanation, elaboration, and paraphrase of this beautiful sonnet. So, once again, the same request, please subscribe, like, and share to your friends to spread the light of learning and light of knowledge. This is Vrishpal Singh. Now, without losing any more time, I come to the point. Now, as you are observing on your screen, this is the text of this sonnet. Went to the sessions, themes, poetic devices, summary. I have already finished in my previous video, and this is particularly for the textual study of this poem. Here I have also mentioned some of the difficult words, vocabulary for your help, and please keep the text before you and study with me so that you can understand it well. The lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear times waste. So this is the first quatrain of this sonnet. As you know, this is divisible into three quatrains of 4 lines each. So now we are dealing with the first quatrain. Sessions of sweet silent thought. You are observing this is the speech sound S S S. So here is a repetition of the consonant sound, and so this is the sonnet with a picture of a man who is reminiscing, recalling the pleasant experiences of the past. And the very first line, you must be observing the words which have been used here, like session. Sessions, this is the term which is used in judiciary. So the poet brings memories, his own memories, forward, as though they were on trial at a session during the court proceedings. So here everything is going on in the mind of the poet. So the memories are there in the mind, and the scene which is being created is summon up remembrance of things past. So that is the poet uh, just recalls some of his past memories and see how do the memories affect the poet. If you remember, I also told you about the theme of this poem, the pain of memory. So here the theme is clear. The poet is recalling the past memories. He is all silent. He is all in sweet mood. And as the memories are occurring to his mind, just like the convicts who appear in the court during the trial, and those convicts had to face several questions, have to face a strict interrogation, and the same kind of interrogation is going on in the mind of the poet. So the poet has beautifully created a picture, and here the convicts are the memories which are haunting the mind of the poet, and as soon as the memories haunt the mind of the poet, I sigh, take a long breath, deep breath. The lack of many a thing I sought. The memories trigger the mind of the poet, and the poet becomes mindful immediately of several things which he had in his past, but now he is living without them. And with old woes, new wail, my dear, time's waste. The poet, no doubt, is living in the present moment, but the past experiences which he recalls, the memories which he recalls, have really disturbed the peace of his mind in the present moment. The poet becomes disappointed. The poet and the old sorrow, the sorrows which the poet had already faced in his past life, are once again revived in his present life. And in this way, even the pleasant or happy life of the present time is not able to impart any kind of solace, any kind of peace to the mind of the poet. So overall, we can say that all the poet reminds or recounts all the injuries and disappointments of his life in these first four lines, and he will continue to tell us about his disappointments and his sorrows in the further quatrain. So this is the introductory quatrain of this poem, where we have been familiar with the state of the poet's mind. Now the poet is in present moment, but as soon as he recalls his past experiences, recalls his past memories, which are full of sorrows and pains, the poet becomes sad and hopeless. Now we move to the second quatrain. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow, woe, and mourn the expense of many. So here, friends, the words, difficult words are the woe. Woe means great sorrows. Drown an eye unused to flow, very or expression. Unused means not habitual, and flow here means to weep. The poet immediately feels a change in his state, and this is the effect of the past painful memories and experiences that the poet starts weeping. Tears starts rolling down on the cheeks of the poet. Now, why does the poet start weeping? Because for the sake of his friends, precious friends, company, who have become the victim of death, and that is endless. That is endless. So it means death has already victimized his friends, and now it is not possible for his friends to come back and to accompany the poet and to provide the poet with some kind of solace, happiness, joy. So this is the state of the poet. The poet feels helpless because he has lost his precious friends, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe. No doubt, the poet is narrating actually. His friend died long ago. At the time of his friend's death, the poet wept, shed tears, and by now the poet should have been free from the sorrow, but it is not so. The memories of his past time are constantly reviving the sorrow which the poet faced at the time of his friend's death, and mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. Expense here means loss. And the poet is weeping over the loss of his friends, over the loss of the pleasures, over the loss of the opportunities, over the loss of the places, sites. So here the poet is speaking only of the losses. He finds that he has completely been devoid of any kind of pleasures in his life. So this quatrain once again is full of sorrows, full of hopelessness of the poet, full of disappointments, full of injuries which the poet had got in his past. But the present is not free, because those past injuries, those disappointments are still lurking in the mind of the poet, and they are really disturbing the peace. So in this way, in the second quatrain, the pain of the poet is heightened as the poet thinks of the people who will never come back into his life. Why? Because they have died. They have become the victim of death. And that, is all powerful. Once you die, you can never revive or can never come back into this world. So the poet knows it very well that even if he is weeping, even if he is expressing his sorrows and disappointments, he is not able anyhow to regain those lost pleasures and to get his friends back into his life. So this is the loss. The poet is very sad. Now we move to the third quatrain of this poem. Then can I grieve at grievances forgone, and heavily from woe to woe tell over the sad account of four bemoaned moan, which I new pay as if not paid before. This is the third quatrain of this poem. No doubt there is some change. There is some change. But the act of remembrance, once again the poet says, recalls old griefs into the present, where they become as painful in their rebirth as they were the first time they were experienced by the poet. Again, alliteration, grieve at grievances forgone. Grieve, that is express sorrow. Grievances, that is complaints. And forgone, that had already happened. Woe means sorrow, to sorrow. Tell over, I have given here count up. The sad account means description of four bemoaned moan. I have given here sorrows suffered in the past, which I knew pay as if not paid before. Beautiful lines, the poet says. Can I grieve at grievances forgone? The poet expresses his sorrows and makes complaints of the loss which the poet encountered in his past. And the poet is shifting from sorrow to sorrow. It's a kind of psychological trap actually. It's a kind of psychological trap the poet has fallen into. Here he suffers intense nostalgic pain for the wasted time that can no longer be reclaimed. The sad account of four bemoaned moan. The poet, whenever thinks of the sorrows he suffered in the past, he always feels that he is still in debt to repay it at the present moment. In simple words, if I say, earlier when poet lost his friend, okay, he wept. He expressed his grief and his sorrow. And then there has been a long gap. Normally we suppose that the intensity of grief and sorrow diminishes with the passage of the time, but this is not the case with the poet. Even the time is all helpless. Even the time is not able to diminish the intensity of the grief and sorrow in the mind of the poet. Even the time has not healed the mind of the poet and has not been able to take him out of the sense of the loss. And so it seems that the poet has been and I would mention here a quagmire. Quagmire, you know, दलदल. What happens? दलदल में जब कोई फंसता है तो क्या होता है? वो जितने ज्यादा एफर्ट्स करता है बाहर आने का, वो उतना ही उसमें अंदर जाता है. And the same is happening with the poet here. The more he is trying to get out of those painful experiences and painful memories, the more he finds himself trapped into that state of mind. So in this way, the poet is clear that neither memory nor the time itself diminishes the pain of the sorrows and the losses the poet met in his life. And as if you remember the second theme of this poem, as I told you in the first part of this uh, uh, lesson, the power, the pain of memory and the power of love. So it seems the memory itself is a powerful source of pain. So here overall we can say that it's the memory that is creating a kind of pain in the mind of the poet. The poet is not able to get away from the memories of his past life, and so the poet is not feeling any kind of solace and any kind of comfort. So in this way, these are the three quatrains or the 12 lines where the poet has spoken about his pain, his sorrow, his loss, his disappointments, and spoken about his dead friends, his lost pleasures, his squandered opportunities, that is, lost opportunities in his life, his failures in his life. But now, after line number 12, as I told you in the previous video, there is a volta. Volta comes here, line number 12 and 13 between. And volta brings about a change in the thought process. If in the previous part the speaker and the poet is pessimistic, then we hope that in the next part he is going to be optimistic. And the same thing happens here in this poem. When we go through the couplet, the last couplet, we find that here is a change in the mindset of the poet. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, now it is clear thee means you. So here the poet remembers his friend, Mr. W.H. He remembers his friend and patron whom he lost in his past, and now he is sure that it is the love. Now, as soon as he thinks of his friend, rather than thinking of the death of his friend, thinking of the lost opportunities, thinking of the disappointments and the injuries, as soon as the poet thinks of his friend, the beauties of his friend, he is hopeful that it is only the love of his friend It is only the love of his friend that can supply all the pleasure, all the hopes, solace necessary to survive life's disappointments and sorrows. All the losses are restored and sorrows end. So it is the love for his friend that comes as a panacea for the poet, a kind of cure for is all apparent, and we have also seen that how does the poet conclude this sonnet by establishing the fact that love is all powerful and love can really impart solace to a disturbed mind and disturbed heart. Love can really mitigate the pain of anybody's painful soul, and the same thing happens with the poet here. So the poet, now it's sure that it is only his friend, his love for his friend, that can prove to be a cure for his tormented soul, tormented mind, and now the poet is sure that he should not go back in and to have the painful memories, disappointments, and sorrows. Rather, he should live keeping the happy memories of his friend, love of his friend, endearment of his friend, because it is the love of his friend that can really keep him away from the sorrows and pains of his life. So, in this way, this is all about this sonnet. It's a beautiful sonnet. आप इसको एक बार पढ़िएगा, मीनिंग्स की हेल्प लीजिए, और जो मैंने पिछली वीडियो में आपको इसको समरी और इलेबोरेशन दिया था उसको भी सामने रखिए और फिर उसका टेक्स्ट को स्टडी कीजिए, और उम्मीद है कि आप इसको बहुत अच्छी तरह समझ जाएंगे। इसमें फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच है, इलस्ट्रेशन है, एंड आपका एपस्ट्रॉफी है, मेटाफर का भी यूज हुआ है, तो एसोनेंट्स है, कंसोनेंट्स है, इनको भी आप इसमें फाइंड आउट करने का प्रयास करें, एंड you will get to it. So after the screenshot of this, I give you one more slide, and this is like a paraphrase. इसका आप screenshot ले सकते हैं. It's a kind of paraphrase. तो two lines मैंने लिए यहाँ पर, उसका एक paraphrase किया है. When I am in pensive state, recall my memories of past things. So this will also help you to understand the meaning of this poem. So this is all about this textual study of this sonnet. So thank you for your patient hearing and watching. Please subscribe, share and watch till the end. आप में से जो भी नए स्टूडेंट्स अभी जुड़े हैं हाल ही में, वो पुराने जो वीडियोज हैं उनको भी आप देखें. दे आर गोइंग टू हेल्प यू अ लॉट. और वन बाय वन मैं ये पोएम्स के जो वीडियो हैं वो 2 पार्ट्स में इसलिए बना रहा हूँ क्योंकि आई डोंट वांट टू टॉल ऑन योर माइंड्स and to keep you engaged for 1 hour and something, because that becomes very painful and hectic. उसमें थकान ज़्यादा होती है और आपका एनर्जी भी लॉस होती है. तो ये 2 पार्ट्स में आप इनको पढ़िएगा. Thank you very much. See you again with another lesson. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Study hard and be focused. Thank you.